Hey, my name's Nick Welch. I appreciate you coming here and giving time to an old hillbilly like me. I would like to talk to you about return to the office.
No problem. No problem. Go ahead, yeah.
So in 2020, the world collapsed. The only time a global pandemic has actually happened, the largest pandemic in 100 years. And you saw us through that successfully. We had the foresight in place already to develop the infrastructure for a work from home solution. So it was a matter of a month, 6 weeks to get things back up and running from a remote situation. We spent the last 5 years developing that. I myself, I work for the TAS organization. I ran multiple training classes for people in India and Buenos Aires to rebuild the branch technology support help desk. And then in 22 and 23, I was a manager of a small team, and that's when the 3 days a week mandate came in. I had difficulty at the time because I couldn't in good conscience support my team, which did not really need an office to operate. We had already been operating for years remotely. My team had no reason to do so, but I knew that if I couldn't support it, I couldn't in good conscience manage this team to do so. And the main issue is that my managers also couldn't manage that. They could not speak to it either. The answers that we got at the time were effectively because I said so. In 10 years of working here, that's not an environment that's ever even been close to it. Our work here has always been work by your conscience rather than by a directive. And I have to say that is because of your leadership as well, the times that you've just over the years and stood up to tyrants in the way that you operate. Mandating a 5-day a week, my team currently exists in 4 time zones. We have 7 people. My manager just moved to Florida. There is no way that I have a close colleague in India, a close one in Buenos Aires. There's just no way that being in an office makes any difference for us specifically. So all I'm asking, I'm not suggesting you rescind such an order, I'm suggesting it be left up to the managers of the individual teams themselves on the necessity of an office workplace.
That it?
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to give you a complete answer. There is no chance that I will leave it up to managers. 0 chance. The abuse that took place is extraordinary. And so you may be a great manager, but the notion that everyone's going to say, well, me, and I'm going to give you examples how bad it got, okay? Now, just before I do that, 60% of Americans went to work every day during COVID. And, somehow people who work in places like this, they didn't understand. You're manufacturing, who delivered your food? Who got the food? Police, firemen, our branches, a lot of you had to come into work and stuff like that. So the notion that everyone's working from home and it works great, that was not true. We've always had work from home. I'm not against work from home, okay? And so we have 10% of our people, mostly in mortgage and certain call centers, who work from home. We started a virtual call center in Detroit. Now we have one in Baltimore, but it's very efficient. It's trackable in a very specific way about how efficient it is, okay? And also it's a free world. So I'm not against, if you want to have a company working from home, that's fine. Now your manager moved to Florida, we never made a promise it would be forever. That's their problem, not mine. And so people say, oh, we moved, we didn't move. We always told people we're going to be a work from the office type of company. And so we allowed 3 days and 2 days, but here are the problems, okay? And they are substantial, okay? Which is the young generation is being damaged by this. That means they may or may not be on your particular staff, but they are being left behind. They're being left behind socially, ideas, meeting people. In fact, my guess is most of you live in communities a hell of a lot less diverse than this room. And so it had all these kind of effects. So we actually see these younger kids slowly being left behind. And I won't do that to younger kids. Now, it's hard to say to younger kids, you come in, but not your bosses. And the other thing, which was full of shit, which I couldn't stand listening to anymore, is, well, if I come in, I just zoom to people somewhere. Which I've also said you can't do, which we have people zooming in from different floors. You know, if you're in the building, go to the meeting. We also had, and you know I'm all right about this one, that a lot of you were on the fucking Zoom and you were doing the following, okay? You know, looking at your mail, sending texts to each other about what an asshole the other person is, okay? Not paying attention, not reading your stuff, you know, and if you don't think that slows down efficiency, creativity, creates rudeness and stuff, it does, okay? And when I found out that people are doing that, you don't do that in my goddamn meetings. You go to a meeting with me, you got my attention, you got my focus. I don't bring my goddamn phone. I'm not sending texts to people, okay? It simply doesn't work. And it doesn't work for creativity. It slows down decision-making. And don't give me the shit that work from home Friday works. I call a lot of people on Friday. There's not a goddamn person you get a hold of. And remember, the team's got to work, okay? And then I manage a company, and we have an operating committee meeting. We're not all there. Sometimes there are people zooming in from somewhere. They travel. But all day we're talking to each other. What about this? What about the constant follow-up, which you don't have by Zoom on any team? So it may work for your team. Now, we've said, but we did learn flexibility. So particularly for, it's usually women, caregivers, we understand there'll be flexibility. You know, but I'm going to be tracking very closely managers. Our managers simply didn't manage. I'm going to go back to another bunch of stuff that's been in my mind recently, okay? And so we have that they didn't manage. They were making exceptions, and people were making exceptions for exceptions. And, you know, meanwhile, our headcount has gone up 50,000 people in 4 or 5 years. And people tell me, well, you know, we don't need all those people. We were putting people in jobs because the people weren't doing the jobs they were hired to do in the first place. It simply doesn't work. I will not be responsible for a company like that. Okay, so, and I'm sorry. Now, you have a choice. You don't have to work at JP Morgan. So the people of you who don't want to work at the company, that's fine with me. You know, I mean, you know, I'm not mad at you. Don't be mad at me. It's a free country. You can walk with your feet. You know, but this company is going to set our own standards and do it our own way. And I've had it with this kind of stuff. And, you know, I come in, you know, I've been working 7 days a goddamn week since COVID. And I come in and where's everybody else? But they're here and there and the Zooms don't show up. And people say they didn't get stuff. So that's not how you run a great company. We didn't build this great company by doing that, by doing the same semi-disease shit that everybody else does. So you wait and see what happens over time to companies that are in this business. I mean, I think you'd be in other industries and do it. So the other thing, now this is nothing to do with work from home. So I apologize. Oh, there will be some exceptions made, but I will see them personally. Okay, I'm not going to put up with any of this stuff that somehow, and one of the things you probably don't think about, there are no special deals with this company. You know, most of these big financial companies, everyone had winks and nods and friends of friends and special deals. There's none of that. And that's what this became, okay? And I think that pollutes a company over time. The other thing, which is I've noticed more and more of, is the creeping, and you guys know I hate bureaucracy. Remember bureaucracy busters? And it just doesn't stop. You know, and it's us, but I blame myself too. How many of you take training classes that you think are a waste of time? Compliance classes you think are a waste of time? How much time you spend at MBIAs? You guys, okay, you don't do MBIs. Or through legal risk compliance type stuff that's, you know, multiple committees to get multiple approvals. How many of you think there's a lot of kind of bureaucracy we got to do something about? Just raise your hand in general. Right. That's part of the problem. That's unacceptable to me. Okay, what I worry about this company is that I want to be as successful 10 years from now as it is today. I made a list. I did a master class. We're going to share it. I'm going to spend some time with you when we're out of here, by the way, Becky. I did a master class on companies, and just listen to what I'm saying. What happened to GE, Sears, Kmart? Okay, what happened to Nokia, BlackBerry? And then you had Apple and Amazon. It's even worse in financial services. What happened to Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, Travelers, Citibank, all 100% of mortgage brokers, all bankrupt. Everyone fired, jobs lost, reputations lost, and it was complacency and bureaucracy in every single case. It wasn't stupid. The people weren't stupid, but the places got slower and more accepting of not doing their homework and stuff like that. And I won't put up with it. And you guys, how many of you here when I got to Bank One? You heard the same stupid stuff when I first got here. We're going to build a great company, and we're going to be disciplined and detailed and factual and honest and hardworking, and that's how we're going to do it, and honest with each other. So anyway, the bureaucracy stuff, you've got brilliant ideas, send it to me because I'm on a wild rampage on this one.